What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers have several needs. Obviously, we need a center. We could use kind of a point of attack guard, kind of more versatile 3-and-D guard. Just athleticism out on the perimeter would go a long way. But also, we could really use a 3-and-D wing. And the Brooklyn Nets have several, right? Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney Smith, right? Those are two guys that have been linked to the Lakers in the past. And reports came out per Anthony Irwin and Clutch Points shared that the Lakers have been in constant contact with Dorian Finney Smith, well, the Brooklyn Nets, about Dorian Finney Smith. And if the Lakers could find a way to pull that off, that would be great. Now, I have said, I think the Nets package overall is the best package, right? Because they are a team that can solve pretty much all of our issues. You could get a Dorian Finney Smith for a 3-and-D wing, Cam Johnson to give you now 2. You get like a Dorian Sharp to give you that backup center who's still young and has the potential and growth, right? And then get a Dennis Schroeder that could be a point of attack 3-and-D, especially the way he's shooting the 3-ball this season, 3-and-D style guard. Now, obviously, he'll play a very different role than he will in Brooklyn, but if he can even maintain kind of half of what he's producing for the Brooklyn Nets, that could go a long way. So the Nets really have the answer to solve all the Lakers' needs at once. If you could get all 4 guys, I've said give up everything, right? You want both first, here's both first, pick swap, whatever, right? Because one of the things that I constantly try to get across is that Lakers need multiple moves, right? I've talked about Zach LaVine, right? Big Zach LaVine guy, but it's because singular, like a one-player trade. Zach LaVine gives you the highest ceiling with maintaining flexibility because you wouldn't have to give up any of your first, so you could still go get a Dorian Finney-Smith. You could still go get a Walker Kessler, right? Maybe you could even get both. And now, again, you solved all your issues. But if you could do something like the Brooklyn Nets, and it's not just like a singular trade, right, then grab that. Lakers have to be cautious with their picks. It's why I've preached patience. I know I talk about a lot of trades and explore different possibilities, and it's fun, but we need to remain patient, right? Now, it's easier to remain patient when you're winning, right? Because now you're coming from a place of, hey, we want this, rather than a place of we need this. And Dorian Finney-Smith is definitely a guy that we need, but ideally you want to kind of get across hey, question is, what is the cost from the Nets, right? The Nets have had a first on Dorian Finney-Smith for years now, and no one's bought. I don't see them getting a first for Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't. Couple seconds, sure. If you could get a Dorian Finney-Smith and, a Dennis Schroeder and a Dorian Sharp, let's say you can't get Cam Johnson. Say they're no, we have to get 2 firsts for Cam Johnson. Okay, if you could get a Dennis Schroeder, Dorian Finney-Smith, and a Dorian Sharp for, 1 first and a pick swap, or 1 first in a couple seconds. Sure, at that point, because now you've maximized the assets that you have in order to get and yield the best return possible. Obviously, you have to give something to get something, but it has to be within reason, right? For example, the Portland Trail Blazers, right, with Jeremy Grant. Lakers have had interest in Jeremy Grant for a while now, right? And there were points where it looked like it might even get done rather soonly. And it didn't, or rather quickly, right? And it didn't, right? I mean, even the Portland Trail Blazers guys, the insiders and stuff, were just give him to the Lakers. The fact that the Lakers are even considering 1 first is crazy. You're fleecing them in a deal, which in a lot of ways does kind of feel that way given his contract. And yes, he's a very good player, but he's not worth multiple firsts, right? But they're not coming down on their asking price. So you got to move on. You got to go a different direction because he's not worth that first. And the Lakers aren't in a position to where it's okay, that piece is the piece we need, right? If we were a Jeremy Grant away from a first or from winning a championship, then yes, give up all your firsts, right? If you're hey, if we could get him, we win, right? Or at least have a really good shot of winning, right? We're one of the top 3 teams, right? Then yes, go get him. But that's not the case. Lakers, and I've always maintained this, need A plus B, right? You need a Dorian Finney-Smith plus, a Zach LaVine or a Cam Johnson and a Dorian Sharp, right? You need multiple pieces. I believe the Lakers are 2 kind of higher end or 3 mid-tier guys away from being real contenders, right? Don't underestimate the value of 2 quality players, 2 quality pieces. Dallas, great example last year, right? There was a stretch where it looked like, okay, this team, are they even going to make the play-in again? Like, even this season, they don't look that great, right? And then you saw that they go and acquire P.J. Washington, and they go get Daniel Gafford, and it just raised the ceiling for them. It was two pieces that came in and actually made an immediate impact that solved needs that they had. And then you had like a Derrick Jones Jr. kind of elevate his game and become that legit 3-and-D guy that you saw. And then they just kind of put it together, went on a run. Next thing you know, they're in the NBA Finals. Yeah, they got ran through by Boston, but they didn't even look like a team that was going to, okay, they're a first-round exit maybe. And then they just got the right pieces. Don't underestimate the value. This is the NBA. This is basketball, right? One guy alone can make a difference. A lot of these other sports, one guy, unless, it's like football and you're getting like a Patrick Mahomes high-end quarterback or something, right? But NBA, even a role guy can be the difference, especially if you can kind of slot guys down, right? It's one of the reasons why, again, I've liked Zach LaVine, because now Austin Reeves isn't your third best guy, right? Now Austin Reeves is your fourth. And then, Connect gets to be your fifth or sixth, right? Like, it drops the pecking order down while still maintaining flexibility, while still doing things. But the Brooklyn Nets solve all of the Lakers' issues. Really, point of attack guard, 3-and-D wing, backup center. Boom. The three biggest needs that they need, athleticism out on the perimeter, all of that, right? So if you can get a Dennis Schroeder, a Dorian Finney Smith, and a Day'Ron Sharpe, then yeah, sure, at that point, give up a first, and then you still have a first and assets and players to go trade, because, that's 34, 35 million in salary. I mean, literally, you could do D'Lo and Rui Hachimura and get those guys, right? You'd have to throw in another guy because the Lakers are 15, and they aren't in a position to waive a guy. Brooklyn is, so you probably, you throw in, I don't know, Jackson Hayes or something like that, right? There you go, boom, vet minimum that falls off the books, gives you a backup center, right? You have like D'Lo, you like that. And then you still have like Gabe Vincent. You still have Jared Vanderbilt if you need to, right? Like you still have Max Christie. You still have like another 30 to 35 million in salary, Jalen Hood-Schifino, that you could then go get another piece to. Maybe you're rounding out depth at that point. Or maybe you're going to get a bigger impact guy, right? Like it just gives you options and flexibility. But I love that the Lakers are active in trying to get a Dorian Finney Smith. They're clearly aware of what they need, which is good, right? Because, that's the question at times. It's like, do the Lakers even realize what they need? Do the Lakers even realize, what they need to go and acquire, right? And then you look at it, it's like, okay, all the reports are like, Lakers are active in trying to find a center. Okay, perfect, check, you need a center. Lakers are active in a 3-and-D wing, right? Jeremy Grant, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, all these guys. It's like, okay, good, check, right? Like, now if you can get some athleticism at the point guard position or the guard position, period, right? Through a Dennis Schroeder, or, I've talked about Bruce Brown when he gets healthy, and if he starts to look right? Like, you can get kind of that point of attack, even like a Colin Sexton I've talked about, right? Just get some athleticism, get some point of attack out there. Lakers need it, right? And even just out on the perimeter, I've broken down and discussed, right? Like, yes, we need a center, but we need perimeter players more. Our biggest problems are rebounding and perimeter defense, 27th in both, and rebound rate, and then also the total defense, right? Like, that's terrible. But why? It's because we don't have the athleticism and we don't have the defense out on the perimeter. So teams are just jacking up threes on us, right? And guess what those lead? Long ball rebounds, right? And then it's just a foot race at that point. And we don't have athleticism, and other teams do. And the teams are like, oh, I just got to win a foot race against D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and Austin Reeves. Like, I could probably do that. And I'm an old fat dad, right? Like, it's embarrassing at times, right? Like, just watching us get out hustled, out sprinted, outran for balls. But now if you start getting that athleticism, you start getting that defense, right? You start getting those guys. Now teams aren't able to scheme offensively against us the way that they currently are. And then you also have Anthony Davis down low to clean everything up, right? So we've seen Jared Vanderbilt plus Anthony Davis makes one of the best defenses in the league. Just two guys, right? It's why myself and many others believe that, like, no, Jared Vanderbilt can make a significant impact to this roster if he can get right and get healthy. Now, I am one of those people that are like, I do think you have to consider trading him just because he can't and hasn't been able to show that he can stay healthy. He's dealt with injuries his entire career, but you don't just trade him for a bag of chips. But now if you can get a Dorian Finney Smith and a Cam Johnson, you can justify that because now you have the defense. Okay, if Jared Vanderbilt plus Anthony Davis make you one of the better defenses, what does, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, Dennis Schroeder, Anthony Davis, Day'Ron Sharpe, like, what does that do as far as, like, your defense goes? Right now, you're probably going to be one of the better. And the Lakers' offense is so good. If you go and grab guys that can maintain that level of offense but improve the defense, even if you're not a top 5 defense, say Lakers are, because right now I believe they're 4th in total offense, right? Let's say you can move to top 3, right? Just one spot up, right? But if you can go from 27th to like 15th in defense, right, or 12th or something like that, now you're just so much more balanced. And if the Lakers are already a top 10 team, now maybe you move into the top 5. Which is what I think would end up happening. And you have more versatility, and some of these guys have been really good, right? Like Dorian Finney-Smith is having a good season. He's shooting 40, almost 41% from three-point range on plus 5 attempts a game. Like, that's good, right? He's older, not like old. He's not like 36 or anything like that. But, he's old enough to have that experience, be in spots, right? You need that. You need that discipline, that understanding. I really like the idea of the Brooklyn Nets and going and getting a Dorian Finney-Smith if they're able to pull that off. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, like, yes, stay on contact with the Nets? I do like that Rob Pelinka has been, according to the report, active and diligent on the Nets end, right? Staying on top of it, having those phone calls. Look, Sean Marks and Rob Pelinka, they have a relationship that's good, right? They have an understanding with each other. Also, the fact that, look, the Nets don't have to rush it, right, is another thing. So Rob Pelinka needs to stay on top of it, stay diligent, and wait for that right moment. But as soon as that becomes available, you need to jump on it. But anyway, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.